Hey guys, this is Alex from Board Game Co. and today we're doing a buy request video of Super Fantasy Brawl. I had someone down in the comments of one of my videos request that I do an overview of Super Fantasy Brawl. I'm always happy to, well, as long as I can, I'm always happy to oblige requests like that. And so I'm going to go over Super Fantasy Brawl. If you stick around to the end of this video, I will let you know whether I backed it. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and jump into whether it is a good game, seemingly, and whether it's a good buy, which is always what I tend to focus on a bit more. So to begin with, let's do a bit of a background, a bit of an overview. Super Fantasy Brawl is by Mythic Games. Mythic Games is a company that I generally love. I like their games. I like their communication. They are just an all-around pleasant company to be involved in. Super Fantasy Brawl is a beat-em-up skirmish game where each player controls 3 heroes. You have a bit of an area control / fighting thing going on over here, competing to get next to these 3 pillars. There's different ways of scoring victory points in the game. The game is supposed to be a fairly short game at 30 to 40 minutes. 2 to 4 players, strictly speaking. This is more of a gut feeling, but I assume it's really more of a 2-player game. Like it says over here, this is a no dice system. It's all card based. It's all, play those cards, play those abilities, move your character, do X, with dozens of unique characters. I mean, the base game alone comes with 12 minis. These are some gorgeous sculpts over here. Some absolutely, like the style. One of the things I always enjoy when I'm looking at a game is whether the game feels unique, whether it adds something new to the table. And this glut of miniature based games that we have in today's age, that we're fortunate to have this huge vast amounts of selection available. But one of the downsides is at a certain point, these sculpts, these miniatures, tend to feel the same over and over again. You get to a certain point where you're like, well, okay, great, that's a cool guy carrying a shield and a spanner, a spear or whatever, but does it really feel unique? Does it feel different? Is it something that I'm just looking at the 3D render and saying, oh wow, it looks cool? Or when it gets to the table, am I actually going to be impressed? Or is it just going to be another miniature in a box in a game I don't play? And again, they always look better when they're renders, but you have to ask whether they bring something new to the table. Now, don't get me wrong, it's something I've talked about. Games are not about miniatures, but miniatures do add to the game. It adds a level of immersion. It adds a level of enjoyment. A bunch of great miniatures with no great game is a waste of space. Well, I should clarify. It's a waste of space unless you're collecting it for the miniatures. But if you're someone like myself who is only there for the game, then the miniatures are secondary, but they are 100% a factor. And going back to what I was saying here, this game has some gorgeous miniatures. It has some gorgeous poses, some really dynamic poses. We have some cool things like the cape over here to illustrate the flying pose. Over here, another cape to illustrate more of a floating pose, a charging pose, some these are just all around some great poses over here. Really dynamic sculpts, really dynamic miniatures, well done across the board. From there we go to the decks. The artwork is amazing. This is absolutely, possibly one of my favorite decks of cards, one of my favorite artwork styles from any recent game I've backed. It is colorful, it is engaging, it is incredibly well done. Zombicide Invader, just quick tangent, Zombicide Invader is a game that I like the Zombicide series, but the artwork kind of killed it for me. It was very flat and monotone. Now, I do understand and appreciate that everyone has their own taste and their preferences, but for me, it took a great game and it flattened the game through the use of the artwork, whereas Black Plague and other Zombicide games I enjoyed a lot more. So in any case, going from there, this is basically, Super Fantasy Brawl. It has it's a skirmish game, great miniatures, great art, great components. So let's cover the gameplay and then the value. Gameplay wise, it's hard to know until we actually play it, but this is being demonstrated at cons. People seem to like it so far. Overall feedback has been fairly positive. I haven't seen that much negative. I've tried looking from people who've played it. It mostly seems positive. The reviews are a little tough because the reviewers who got this are not the kind of reviewers who give their honest opinion, but rather are there to elucidate details about the game and let you know about the game, but they don't tell you what they think. So it's harder to know. If I recall correctly, Sam Healy really enjoyed it. That is a big testament for me. Sam Healy is someone whose taste in games has most closely resembled my own from the Dice Tower. So when Sam likes a game, I generally pay attention. Doesn't mean it's a good game? No. Doesn't mean I'll like it? No. But doesn't mean I'm paying attention because there's been overlap? 100% yes. So that's basically, again, it's hard to know. It is hard to know. With any of these games, it's always a gamble. You're always looking for those factors that lead you to make the most informed decision you can, while understanding that there is never a 100% guarantee until you have played the game. And by play the game, I don't even mean the first time. Play the game 2-3 times, that's when you'll actually know whether it was a good game for you. Reading the rulebook, watching videos, other people's opinions, those are all just clues. Those are hints to bring around this overall picture of whether it's a game that's right for you and whether it's a game you should back. From there, and then that's all been good news pretty much so far, but from there we jump into the bad news, which is the value on the buy. This is not a great value on the buy, in my opinion. It's not necessarily a bad value, but it's not a great value either. See, the problem is this is one of those things where they did that. So let's start with the price. The price comes in at $49 for the base core box and $89 for the core plus. Now, this is one of those campaigns that did not do stretch goals. It did not say, here's all the additional content you get if you back the game. Now, I've said this before in other videos. I completely respect the decision to do that. I believe it does benefit the game to an extent when people do that. But while I do respect that doing that can make the game more welcoming to others, it can. 100%. It's a good thing. At the same time, I've always focused on the fact that if you're going to ask for our money in advance, if you as a company are going to say, we're not pre-funding this, we're asking other people to pay for our game a year in advance to take a chance before there are any real reviews out there, you have to provide a value. You have to provide something that counters the risk. When you're offering them a risk, you have to give them a reward. Now, don't get me wrong, you can do whatever you want, but if you want to provide an incentive to people who are actually thinking through the return on value and not just thinking through, ooh, shiny, I want it, well, then you have to do that. Now, there's many ways you can do that, and they're not all stretch goal related. You can provide a cheaper price. You can provide more content that's not necessarily gameplay content. You can provide extras, exclusives. There's all these different things you can do to give that risk versus reward offering to your backers. But if you just provide me the risk and not the reward, I am not backing. I will happily wait until it hits retail, and if it doesn't hit retail, if it wasn't, I mean, if it's not a good offering, it's not a good offering. There has to be a reason to back it on Kickstarter. Now, one of the things, I didn't say this before, one of the things you could add is you could just say it's Kickstarter exclusive. You could say the entire game is Kickstarter exclusive. That will work. At the end of the day, there has to be a reason for me to back it on Kickstarter. Now, going back to the actual game here, like I said, there are no stretch goals, which off the bat does hurt the value offering. Now, stretch goals don't have these stretch goals. Stretch goals could be things that they say in advance, here's what you get on Kickstarter. But it's just the idea that you get 14 extra miniatures if you back this on Kickstarter. No, you're not getting that. What are you getting? Let's come down to that. So, down to let me scroll here. Here we go. Why back this project? Great question. So, why back this project? You supposedly get the big box, which is not these, all these combined boxes, but rather one big box. You get deluxe game trays, and you get a $49 offering instead of $110. So let's start with the bad and go to the good. This is BS. This $49 versus $110 is complete BS. I love Mythic Games, and I don't resent them for doing this. This is good marketing. It's standard stuff. You sit there and say, regular price $39.99, sale price $22.99. I don't resent them, but this is complete BS to say this. In reality, these games are not going to total $110 when you're buying them 6 months later from the store. When they first hit the store, at a local game store, maybe they'll be $110, but at an online game store, these might be $82, might be $75. I don't know the actual price, but it's not going to be $110, I'll tell you that much. Secondly is the markdown price. Whenever you buy it from a store, you have to factor in the fact that you can get them on sale. You can get them when they get marked down. There's many, many, many ways to get them, and you won't even be paying that regular price of $70 or $80. You'll be paying cheaper than that. And finally, and this is a huge one. It's a huge one. I'm going to say this again and again because it's the one thing people constantly forget, or they ignore, not necessarily forget, is shipping. When I buy from an online store, I'll add the $30 to my cart. I'll pay $70 plus another $30. Boom, free shipping, done. You're not getting anything close to free shipping when you buy it on Kickstarter. Worse than that, even this publisher in Super Fantasy Brawl, they actually had to release an update after the backer kit was released, saying, hey guys, if you want, you can cancel your pledge, we'll refund everything, because shipping was much, much higher than we anticipated. Or not necessarily anticipated, they posted different shipping amounts, and then for the all-in pledge, it was much more. But it's a lot of money. I think there's something like $30 shipping on a $90 pledge. That's a lot of money. This is not a cheap thing. Shipping is a huge expense. Once you factor in shipping, once you factor in markdown prices, the price is almost a wash. it's almost a wash. I mean, we won't know the exact details until it actually hits the market, until it actually hits retail. But if you think that the price was the reason to back this, you're not doing the math. You're not valuing your time. You're not valuing your money properly. But let's go to the good from there. Into the good. The good is this big box is a nice offering. It is useful. I'm someone who consolidates my games into one box. I absolutely hate having to grab 4 different boxes to play a game. When I get a giant Kickstarter with 4 huge boxes, I don't let it sit that way. I consolidate it into as few boxes as possible in order to maximize in order to minimize the amount of time I have to spend unpacking the game and getting the game to the table, and rather so I can just play the game. I don't care if the miniatures are in fancy trays. I just want to play the game, and anything that is a blocker to me playing the game goes in the garbage. At the same time, not the same time, but that therefore this big box over here really helps with that. That's a pro to me. It's definitely a plus. The deluxe game trays, also a plus. That's a nice extra value added. The price is not the value, but the box and the game trays are an extra value. Kickstarter edition larger pledge. Here we have some more extras, but not more and not more. Price, again, same thing I said before. It's BS. I'm sorry. It's, again, no resentment. I understand what's going on, but this is not a realistic assessment at all. From there, we have the big box. Great. And this is the first con, but we have another box. I mean, just when you sat there and gave me a giant box to consolidate everything, you then added 3 more champions that aren't going to fit into the big box. It almost defeats the whole point of having the big box, and now I'm going to have to throw out those inserts again and again consolidate. So, again, no real resentment, but in a weird way, this extra expansion hurts the value of this box to me. Now it's become another game of consolidation. It could be once I throw out the inserts, they would have all fit in this box totally fine, and it also hurts the game trays. We have these amazing game trays, and now they're less value to me. They're absolutely less value to me because I'm going to try to consolidate. I'm not interested in multiple boxes. So it was very frustrating to me because, and again, no resentment. This is my personal bias, my personal experience, my personal whatever, but it was frustrating to me to see this added, which literally hurt the value of the big box and the game trays for me. It is what it is, but that's all fine. Then we have the Neophrin kit with exclusive Kickstarter design. If that's a value to you, great. Not really a value to me. I mean, the Neophrin mat is the exclusive design. Unless it's something amazing, I'm just not anticipating. If anything, by the way, I'm not sure if this is final, but if anything, this just looks busier than that. And I'm not sure if that's a good thing. Well, I'm pretty sure it's not a good thing. So that's a hard toss-up over there. And then finally, we have the sleeves. Sleeves are a value. I like sleeves. To me, they're not a $20 value. Actual sleeve would cost me $5. These have nice backs or whatever. It's nice. It's extra. I enjoy it. Not a huge perk. So in a weird way, I consider this level a better buy than this. But if you want everything, then it was this weird trade-off for me. The price was not a huge upsell. The timing of getting this pledge earlier, not a huge upsell. Kickstarter exclusive, nothing here was really Kickstarter exclusive except for a design that I arguably think is worse. The box, while I appreciate and like, is actually, the value of it is hurt by this additional expansion. The game trays, which I appreciate and like, the value of it is hurt by this additional expansion. So this whole entire game was really a mix. The game looked incredible. Incredible is probably a strong word without knowing it. The game looked appealing. The miniatures and the art design looked incredible. The overall price point was reasonable. Meaning, even with the $30, $40 shipping they had on this, that was, again, fairly ridiculous. Even with that, this came in at around $120, $130. Considering the cost of some of these miniature games that I back, this was a reasonable price point. Again, everything's relative compared to buying a $30 retail game that you can get a ton of value. Compared to Coimbra, the $30 game that I've gotten a ton of gameplay out of, this is not even close. Compared to Massive Darkness with all its expansions that I've only played once, unfortunately. I like Zombicide, I like Cthulhu May Die Better, so I haven't played it enough. Compared to that, this is going to be a great value. So it's everything's relative in life, but overall, I thought the overall price point was not bad. It was primarily the question of whether it's a good buy. That was the question. So, time to get to the fun part of the video. Did I back this game? Yes. Sadly, yes. Arguably against my better judgment, I did, and I'll tell you why I did in the end. My whole thing is risk versus reward. My entire decision, my entire question, my entire everything that I do when I go into Kickstarters is risk versus reward. Is the risk of backing something that could fail worth the reward that you are giving me? This was not an easy question for Super Fantasy Brawl by any means, because at the end of the day, I was primarily relying on the box and the game trays to provide a value that would be there compared to just waiting for retail. And that is where I let my own personal bias be ignored, because if you're looking to resell, it doesn't matter. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, while I do not think I will make money on this by a long shot, I do not think if I get this game, we'll start with the basics. If I get the game and I like it, worth it. Totally fine with that. Because I thought the price was not cheaper, but I thought it was equitable. Meaning this price point was, I thought, equitable once you factor in shipping to what you'd pay after the fact. So I'm not going to get it cheaper if I wait. So now I'm just factoring in the assessment. I mean, I'm not getting penalized for backing the Kickstarter. Those are the worst. When you have to pay a premium to back a Kickstarter, that's just completely ridiculous. But in this case, I didn't think I was paying a premium. I thought I was paying an equitable price to back this Kickstarter. And in terms of the extras, while I did not value them, while the big box and the game trays, the value and the to me was fairly hurt, and the exclusive Kickstarter design, the value of that was fairly hurt to me by the fact, well, the Kickstarter design I didn't like, and the game trays in the box I thought was hurt because of the expansion over here. At the same time, I don't know if everyone feels that way, and I'm assuming they don't all feel that way. I'm assuming that if I need to flip this, then the Kickstarter, the game trays, and the exclusive box, I believe they will have a value. So really, I decided to go ahead and back it. If I like it, well worth $120, $130, well worth it. And if I don't like it, these things which are less valuable to me will have a value to someone else, and I'll be able to recoup my costs. I don't need to make money on it, but if I'm going to turn around and flip it, I want to get my $120 back. I don't want to get $89 back. I don't want to sit there and say, well, you know what, I opened it, I played it, so I can sell it for less. No. I mean, if I have to, I will. But my goal with Kickstarters is specifically to say, I'm taking a risk. I want to mitigate that risk. Is it a good buy? I believed this was a safe buy for me. Not an amazing, you're going to turn around and flip it for a profit buy, but I thought it was a safe buy because of the reasons I just covered. Is it a great value for your money? I did not think so. It was definitely a harder choice for me to back it. In the end, I did because of the reasons I just talked about. This video may be fairly useless to you because I believe the late pledge period is over. I don't believe you can back it anymore. It's possible if you have a dollar buy, you can still mess with it. I don't know, but you definitely cannot late pledge it unless you have that dollar buy. So I hope you enjoyed this video. That was my take on Super Fantasy Brawl, my take on why I backed it, whether you should back it, whether it's a good game, and all that. If you like this video, go ahead and first of all, subscribe down below. It really does help grow the channel. If you can subscribe, ring the bell for notifications so you can see further videos. We have a bunch of other videos and subscribe buttons on the left and right over here, and you can like the video, and please comment down below. Let me know your opinion. I currently reply to every single comment. I am very focused on engaging with you guys. I really appreciate everyone who frequently is on these videos. I appreciate your watching. I appreciate what you do and don't like about the content, and I appreciate your opinion, your feedback, whatever I can do to add value to this channel, whatever I can do to be a worthwhile channel to watch. There's a lot of people doing videos out there. I really enjoy being in this space. I enjoy board games. I enjoy being in the hobby, and part of that means I have to add value. I have to do something that's either better or different, and either one is totally fine with me. But yeah, that's basically it. Alex from BoardGameCo.com. Let me know down below, and until next time, have a good one.